I really like this voice activation on the DJI, and there's a ton of different modes for field of view, wide. This is a standard field of view. There's wide and ultra wide. I was going to go straight, but let's try this way. This is a little slippery, so I'm just going to go nice and slow here. It's been raining, and it rained this morning, but it's not going to rain this evening anymore. I bought a handlebar mount for the DJI camera. It'll also work with the Asako, should I decide to use it. Or GoPro or anything else. It's really made for motorcycles, and it can go practically anywhere. I tried it on the fork stanchion, and it mounts and works, and it would give a very low perspective. But I really wanted it on the handlebars because of the mud and such splashing around. And in this particular case, there was a fork lockout cable in the way, and that was really bugging me. And as I've never ever used the fork lockout, well, I have to see what it would be like, and it's silly. I mean, why would you have a suspension fork and then lock it out? So I took off the cable. I would like a manual lockout, the correct manual lockout, so that I can play with it in the future. At least it looks normal. But I just took off the lockout cable, and now it's just running freely. It took me a while to learn how to do it. YouTube is great for how-to videos. Not always, but a lot of times. When I first tried to remove the cable, I just couldn't see where to unscrew it. And there's a little tiny hole on the side of the cover that goes on top of the fork crown. And of course you can't really see it unless you know what you're looking for. It's so tiny. But it fits I think it's a 2mm or 1.5mm wrench. Real tiny little guy. So I got rid of that cable, which makes me feel better. I really didn't like it. Namely, the control pad for the electric motor and the lockout cable lived on the same handle bob, which is a little extension that goes onto handlebars, road bike handlebars in particular, for mountain bikes size accessories. As all these things seem to be made for mountain bikes, the control clamps and all that, it works out really well when you're running drop bars, and they're damn clever. Anyways, this is Parque Cerros, if I haven't mentioned that. I haven't been here in a while because, well, I've been going on longer bicycle rides. And, well, you can run 100 kilometers in this park if you want, but some of the trails get, well, they're pretty advanced. Some of them have cliffs and such on the side, and they're narrow and windy. Actually, I've been on a few of them. There's one in particular, which I'll make a video on, which has got some awesome single track. I need to get down here. This is just steep. Anyways, it has some awesome single track. That's a gnarly little hill. I spent a lot of time in this park on my gravel bike. I had a lot of fun here with it. One nice thing about the rain, the clay becomes more compliant, the bike sinks in a little bit. I don't know what to do here. I don't think there's a good way. This bit is just nasty. There's no good way to do this either. The noise you're hearing are the mud guards cleaning the tires, kind of. And as you get a little speed, the stuff will fly off. everywhere. Mud isn't the problem. If the bike is really nasty after the ride, I'll take it to the car wash and knock off the tires and the fenders with hot water. No soap. Well, this is enough for right now. I don't want this video to get too long, so I'm going to say stop recording. I have been recording in what's called standard D-warp with rock steady stabilization. I've changed it to wide because this trail is kind of interesting, a little spooky, requires attention. Mostly because of these raindrops. The wind has changed. I'm going into a headwind, and I did have a tailwind, so I don't know how that'll affect sound. But we're not going very fast, so probably not very much. There's nothing comfortable to me about a couple of these spots, so if I go a little slow, it's because I don't want to slide in the mud and land on my butt. The tires are nicely loaded with mud, but most of it's coming off now. There was a section that I couldn't avoid, and it was just gooey. The nice thing is, with the clay being wet after all this rain, it's stickier. There's a bunch of exposure settings for the light that I could play with. Right now I'm running it on automatic because the sun pops in and out. Right now we're under some clouds, but it shouldn't rain. If I went left, I could go to Los Santos, Villa Formosa. San Torcas is first. Well, actually, on the way, if I went straight, San Torcas would probably be my destination. Going to Los Santos, I don't need to go on the highway. But it's not a heavily traveled road and it's fast. So, it wouldn't be out of the question. There's only a few bicycle tracks here, and I think one of them is mine. In fact, I know one of them is mine. Not the squiggly one. Oh, this is the mud trap. Let's see if I can get around most of it. It's pretty sticky. Not that much. That noise you're hearing is the mud smacking into the fender stays, mud guard stays. I think there's going to be more of that coming up here. I did have this camera mounted to the fork stanchion, which I thought was really clever. In fact, it kind of is, except it's too low and it would get all banged up with mud. But I'll put it there on a nice dry day because it'll give a crazy fast looking picture being so low to the ground. This is Malvicino. And from here, Madrid is visible. And it's actually kind of pretty with all the clouds in the background. And in the very middle of the picture, those four things sticking up are the business. This is a business center with its towers. Kind of cool.